to the channel if you are not new here, and if you are new here, welcome. My name is Andrea and this is Hello Drea. Today's video is a follow-up to a question I posed on my channel a little while ago. I promised in that video at the end that I would have a part 2, or that this would possibly be a series, and so here I am with part 2 of the video almost a month after the promised date. But in my defense, when I uploaded part 1, I did have a follow-up video already made. However, that video was more of a rant, similarly to the first one, and it didn't actually answer my overall question, which was and is, are Black women sincerely unified? Are we truly as interconnected as we seem to be? Now, for those of you that are spiritualists and very woke and look at y'all trying to choke me out. Woo! Shame on you. Shame on you. For those of you that are very woke, you know, got your pineal gland happening and everything, I'm not talking about our connectedness spiritually and in small everyday circumstances. I'm talking about when it is all said and done, with each other and for each other, are we with it? For this installment of the series, I will be choosing some of my speaking points from media. After all, it's one of the things that connects all of us. What's the word when something is everywhere all at once? Oh, omnipresent. That's the word. Today, though, I will be pulling from a few things, some contemporary, some not so much. The literature that I have chosen to use as examples is not very contemporary. Nothing that I mentioned is from, I would guess, 2007 and above, okay? All of the literature is pretty much older. I guess we're just going to jump right in it. These videos still aren't scripted, so bear with me if you feel like there's an issue. The first example that I will be pulling from is Petry's The Street. Essentially, this book is concerning Ludy Johnson. Ludy Johnson is a newly single mother, if I'm not mistaken, when the book is placed at its exposition. She has, you know, suffered from poverty. So that's a common ground that we can connect with her on, even in this day and age, while the book may, you know, take place in the 20s or 30s. Now, Ludy Johnson, because of her struggle with poverty, she has seen the relationship with her child's father dissolve because of it. She has seen her living situation become intolerable and sufferable due to it, or insufferable rather. She understands that money plays an integral role in how society functions, who gets to live how, and what her place in it is as a brown-skinned, attractive woman, because the novel does emphasize the fact that Ludy Johnson is not no regular schmegular, okay? Ludy Johnson is bad. But, like most bad women, we can acknowledge that while that may come with some privileges and some accessibility to things that, you know, make your living conditions not insufferable, we can also acknowledge that it comes with an array of issues, dealing with misogyny, violence, consideration for how your attractiveness plays into your intellectual capacity and capabilities. All of these things that we already know and have spoken on countlessly through media and literature. Ludy Johnson isn't this super protagonist. It's not that type of story. Ludy Johnson, which another thing that I think a lot more bad women can acknowledge than maybe is given credit for, a lot of bad women work regular jobs that may or may not include a livable wage. Among the may-nots. She's among the have-nots. Ludy is approached by men that ultimately already recognize what type of position she's in. They already recognize that she is, in their eyes and the eyes of larger society, victimizable, marginalizable. As Ludy navigates through this world of her black womanhood, her black impoverished womanhood, especially among the poor men that don't have access to really fantastic looking women, such as herself, I have to acknowledge again that Ludy Johnson is bad, okay? She's bad. So bad that men pine for her, not in a healthy way, of course, because let's be real, and Petry knew what was up. She is not groveled after or sought after in order for her condition in life to be elevated. The men that desire her truly do just desire her for her body, and they aren't looking at her in an intellectual facet. So because Ludy is a threat to the women around her and their station in life, there's literally a character, and I forgot her name. It's been a couple of years since I read this book. I'll have to look her up and mention her later. But she's an older lady, you know, she's not written as attractive, and Petry threw all of the shade. She actually didn't throw shade, she threw the entire tree when describing this character. Fortunately, however, we're honestly viewing these characters more so from their own mindsets, even though it is written in the third person, from what I remember. Yeah, it's written in the third person. The narrator is very omniscient and very clear about the fact that we are still in their heads, even though the perspectives are being told from the third person. So we know that this character is older, she is saggier, she is dependent on the man that she lives on, and Ludy Johnson is a threat to her entire livelihood because Ludy Johnson has very well the capability of taking her spot. Speaking of the man that she is living with, he is an aggressive, unhappy, unsatisfied man. His entitlement leads to him not only feeling like he deserves a shot at Ludy, mind you, after attempting to SA her. I don't want to get demonetized or have any algorithmic issues, but you guys understand what I'm saying. So after he attempts to SA her and she, of course, fights and gets away, his mindset is, wow, why was she so aggressive toward me? Why did she scratch at me like that? His perspective, he called her a she-cat based on the way that she was so aggressively fighting against him as an attacker. Not only is this man completely unaware of self, he's also completely delusional. And when all of these awful occurrences in Ludy Johnson's life is taking place, her poverty, her moving into this drafty, creepy building where her SA attacker is literally the super of this building. This is someone that she has to see every day because, like I have said numerous times in this video, Ludy Johnson is broke. So she can't just put down a deposit on a new place. This is a part of her experience as an attractive black woman in poverty. She has no access to good resources. She has no access to consistent safety. She has no access to pretty much anything that the women around her also don't have access to. One of the women is a madam. And if you don't know what a madam is essentially a female version of a pimp. So she solicits women and she's looking at Ludy like, hey, what up, city goyle? You trying to get flued out? You looking kind of broke over there. You too pretty to be that dusty. You got a little sun and whatnot. Again, these women aren't blind. Even if they don't understand the socioeconomic principles that surround their circumstances, they still know a woman like Ludy can completely uproot them, but also she could uproot herself given the right options for men. But the issue with that is that once again, she is left at the mercy of men's attractiveness to her, which is often rooted in violence and entitlement.